intergalactic misfits led by the uptight Rimmer and the slobby Lister.
What did I do?
You hummed. Maliciously and persistently for 2 years. Every time I sat down to do some revision...
Hang on. You're trying to say you never became an officer because you shared your quarters with someone who hummed?
Obviously not just that, Lister. Everything. Everything you ever did was designed to hold me back and annoy me.
Like what?
Like using my mother's photograph as an ashtray.
I didn't know. I thought it was a souvenir from Titan Zoo.
Exchanging the symbols on my revision timetable, so instead of taking my engineering finals, I went swimming.
The symbols fell off. I thought I'd put them back in the right place.
Swapping my toothpaste for a tube of contraceptive jelly.
That was a joke.
Yes, Lister, the same kind of joke as putting my name down on the waiting list for experimental pile surgery.
Well, he's here now, the slobby Lister himself, Craig Charles. Welcome to this morning. Good to see you. For anyone who hasn't seen it, explain why that guy has this H on his head the whole time.
Ooh,
All right, don't. It's all right.
Rimmer's a hologram. I play the only human being left alive. I mean, no one's really seen the first. I mean, the first series of Red Dwarf just creeped in, and no one ever. That's a really old series, by the way. But the first series just like creeped in, and what happens was, Lister's on this ship of 169 people, and I've got this pet cat. And the computer senses a non-human life form on board. Now, Lister's a bit stupid, you know, but he's not stupid, but he's a bit like, you know, he doesn't really care about many things. And he's taking a photograph of himself with the cat and sends it to be processed in the ship's laboratory. So when a captain calls me and says, have you got a cat? I go, no, and he shows me the photograph, and I go, yeah, I've got a cat, it's that one, you know. And I won't tell him where it is, so I go into suspended animation.
Right.
They sort of like put me in this thing till the end of the trip. And then it flashes up 3 million years later. And what's happened was, while I'm in suspended animation, the cat's been locked in the hold. There's been a nuclear accident aboard the ship, and everyone's been wiped out, and it's taken 3 million years for the radiation to reach an acceptable background level. Meanwhile, my pregnant cat has been breeding in the hold and has evolved into, like, well, like we evolved from monkeys, that's evolved from cats. So I come out, and, like, I'm there, and I meet this cat, and the next minute, Rimmer, who I never got on with, the computer just, you know, sees how many words I've exchanged with people and brings back the one I've talked to most. And I said, well, hang on a minute. I've spent 14 million words with that man, and 7 million with him calling me a smeghead, and the other 7 million with me calling him a smeghead, you know? So it brings him back, but...
As a hologram?
Yeah, it brings him back as a hologram to keep me sane, because, like, John Paul Sartre said that hell is being locked in a room forever with your friends. But all his friends were French.
Yeah. And we still don't know why he's got an H on his forehead, but
He's a hologram.
Oh, H for hologram.
Yeah.
You could have said that right at the beginning.
Come on, Jude, come on.
No, I know. A bit thick.
So, listen, has Red Dwarf then got the kind of following? He's very different from Doctor Who, but Doctor Who and Star Trek. Has he got, you know, are they dwarfies?
Oh, yeah. I don't know whether you call them reddies or dwarfies yet.
Reddy dwarfies.
But, yeah, I mean, all over the world, I get, like, photographs of, like, sort of semi-naked, blonde teenage temperatures lounging over chaise lawns going, next time you're in Ohio, look me up, like... You know, it's quite good.
Like
it's sort of like doing a Red Dwarf convention in Los Angeles in July. They have Red Dwarf weekends over in LA where they, like, play all the episodes of Red Dwarf in a weekend.
But do they realise it's a spoof?
Well,
They're funny, the Americans. They take things quite literally.
Hang on, Star Trek with a spoof. I mean, Star Trek had its tongue firmly in its cheek all along, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they realise it's a spoof, yeah.
Captain Kirk's tongue firmly in somebody else's cheek.
Whoa.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you're sort of very obsessed with, are you very obsessed with this futuristic stuff? Because you're about to do something else, are you not? A kind of game show with the most extraordinary difference.
When you say game show, I start going, oh, I want to shoot myself in the head.
Oh, no, don't be snobby about game shows.
What's accusing you of selling out?
No. What we did was, like, when we did Red Dwarf, we tried to take the dirty word out of situation comedy, because situation comedy had become, like, sofas and sort of, like, white middle-class people, like you two.
We are white. Middle-class.
You know, kind of like, and, like, you know, on sort of sofas and French windows and that kind of things. And when we originally tried to sell Red Dwarf to Gareth Gwenlan, the BBC, he turned around and said, it won't work. And the writer said, why? And he goes, well, there's no French windows. What you need is a couch. The camera pulls off the couch through a pair of French windows and you see it in space. And the guys go, we don't have couches and French windows in space. And he goes, that's why it won't work. But, like, I've been trying to get into, like, unusual TV. I mean, it's an amazing piece of lateral thinking.
So this thing with Anglia, it's not actually been commissioned yet, but you've done a pilot. It's called Cyberzone.
Yeah.
Cyberzone. Well, let's see a clip and then you can explain it. Yeah. Cyberzone.
Where's this car gone?
You're well out of trouble.
Uh-oh. You can get inside that building you just saw and get that big score, guys. Right, the car is... Yeah, I've seen the car.
You've seen the car.
Where's the door to this building?
Right, Go towards the globe. Then
Towards
turn
the
left.
globe.
Go towards the globe and turn left.
Then turn left at the end.
Yep.
Left or right? Left or
I'm
right?
going to go right here. We're going right.
We're well into this game now, guys. Try and get your
Right,
points.
probably behind the pillar. So basically, the contestants are wired up to the computer, and whatever they do, the image on the computerized screen does.
It's kind of a virtual reality. It's like virtual reality, you know. It's kind of 3D as well as close as you can get to 3D on
Yeah,
in a 2D
it's on a
medium, you
two-dimensional
know.
screen, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like a virtual reality video game, and you sort of like you know, you've got like these pressure pads for your feet, and like these things on your hands which make you change directions. And if you walk forward, the cyborg man will walk forward.
Right.
And if you walk backwards, the cyborg man walks backwards. So it's all quite good. It makes great noise when he bumps into water. Goes whoops. And we've been writing this song. Do the Borg walk. Whoops, 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 whoops. Doing this rap kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's yeah. And that's the first time I've seen it. Now that's just the pilot.
Of course,
I'm sure
Anglia,
things will change. Isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean, Anglia do Nightmare, so they're very into this kind of futuristic.
Yeah. Well, it's just
game
Tim
thing.
Childs and Broadsword. You know,
Yeah, I guess so.
those guys are kind of
Yeah.
really bright. You know.
So what are you, Mr. Charles? I mean, are you sort of a satirical commentator, and we hear you on things like Loose Ends on Radio 4, or are you a game show host, or are you an actor? What are you? An actor?
What I find is that, you know, if you establish yourself in the nation's consciousness as any one thing, then I've said this so many times. But if you establish yourself in the nation's consciousness as any one thing, then they won't let you be anything else. When I first started off as a poet on like Wogan and Saturday Live and all that, I got out of it just before everyone thought he's a poet for good. You know, and I've done like what now? Presented my own music show, sort of like did a chat show on Night Network, do stand-up comedy, write poetry, serious acting, comedy acting. I don't know what I am. I don't want to be a Renaissance man. I don't want to be a jack of all trades either. I just think that I'm so lucky to be able to work in in an industry where they actually do allow you, if you're lucky enough, to like try and work on different things. You better watch out and come for your job next, guys.
We just heard rumour has it.
No,
you
don't.
You may well be. No, not taking our job. Well, I mean, God, rumour has it.
knows?
You know, anybody's up for our job, but you may well be standing in for Terry Wogan.
I don't know where. There's rumours been flying around. You never heard that from me. There's rumours been flying around, I suppose, but we'll have to wait and see. It'd be good, wouldn't it, if I did?
That'd be great.
Well, how would you approach it? How would you approach, you know, the chat show genre? What sort of...
Well, I mean, if you approach something like Terry Wogan, I suppose. I mean, like, you know, I don't know if I am doing it. I've had like kind of talks, but like, you know, I don't know if I am doing it. But
If you were to do a chat show?
well, I've written this idea called, you know, you remember Vic Reeves' Big Night Out? Well, I've done this like Craig Charles's Big Night In kind of thing. And what we've done is like I've written it, and it's all set in one room, and I walk through the door and do stand-up comedy to camera for about three or 4 minutes, and then like all the people who live in the house with me come through the doors and down the stairs and do like a sitcom for 5 or 6 minutes. And there's a knock on the door. There's a chat show guest, and you sit them down, you do a chat show for a couple of minutes, and then the sitcom comes and interrupts that, and there's another knock on the door, and it's like a travelling, you know, like a variety act masquerade as a travelling salesman. He does his variety act. You close the door on him. Don't want none of that, thanks. You know, another guest comes. I mean, like, you know, it's like an umbrella for everything that I've kind of done on TV.
But if you did stand in for for someone like Wogan, would you approach it as someone who basically wanted to get a kind of performance out of your guests, someone who was anxious for the audience to laugh and everything, or would you actually ever see yourself as a serious interviewer, trying to get serious stuff?
I don't know. I mean, what's serious about talking to people? It's just a chat show. I wouldn't want to do it like a question and answer session. I could do it like a chat show and chat to these people, you know. And like a lot of people who've done Wogan before, I suppose, have like stood in for. I've got all their mates in. And like I don't want to get all my mates off television, and I want to sort of meet people that I've always wanted to meet. Like I want Chuck Berry and like, you know, just people that I've always kind of wanted to meet, sort of thing. So I just approach it like a chat show, just like me, really. I don't want to adapt my personality for TV. I think a TV should adapt around the people who are on it. You know, I mean, you've got certain personalities, and This Morning is built around you guys and like the way you approach life and your outlook on life. You know, so I'd like if I've got a chat show.
That's what's going wrong. You put your finger on the problem.
Change over.
All right, but that aside then, and the Anglia thing aside, where else? I mean, you can pop up anywhere. Any idea what the next biggie's going to be?
I don't know. There's like a lot of talk at the moment. I think Cyberzone's going to be sort of quite big. You know. There's a lot of talk on. I mean, at the moment, there's like loads of projects that I'm kind of involved in. I've got my finger in a load of pies and all that.
He's been
No, well,
he's been
I've just done this
engaged.
film called Deep Red for Fuji, and that's where I play a doctor. And like, there's talk of doing something for Granada at the end of the year called Angels, where 3 angels come down to Earth to save souls, right?
Yeah.
And I think Tom Baker's going to be in this as well, but it's, you know, it's not confirmed. But there's Michael and Gabriel, like really experienced angels, and they get everything like right. And I'm Donald, new angel. And my opening line is, "Oh, sorry, I'm new at this," and like I go around getting everything kind of
You
wrong.
get some wonderfully wacky projects.
Yeah,
It's
good
great.
stuff.
Well, it's kind of, I'm lucky, you know.
And I want to ask you who your tailor is after us, because I think the suit's great.
I know, it's better than that, like somewhere in Liverpool there's a Cortina without seat covers, you know.
Well, you can come back. Break time once again. But we're going to be back in a couple of minutes to see how Fred Talbot's getting on with his trip through time to the future. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you, Craig.